Your real estate professional here at Lair Realty Partners, and my co-host, Keith
Valancourt.
Awesome. We are super excited to start today. The first thing we want to talk about is Inman just put out a report that says that March showed the second month in a row of price gains. This is nationwide.
Yeah.
But really that they think that it's an indication that the slowing that began in June of 2022 is finally kind of coming to a halt. So I know what we've been seeing here in New Hampshire, prices continue to go up.
Of course.
Do you think you've seen a difference in the last couple months?
Around here, not so much. Now around here, I feel like they're still up high. But as we see nationwide, like we talked about the last episode, on the West Coast, things are coming down. Up here, we're seeing that. That's why we always stay with our local agents for sure. But in this case, it's obviously we had a steady decline, and now it seems like, as far as the general countries we're concerned, we're starting on the uptick for the last couple of months.
Yeah, a little bit. And that's interesting, but not, meaning it's interesting but not surprising to us. And the reason for that is they're not huge upticks like we saw during COVID, but they're steadily increasing, and that is primarily due to we still have a lack of inventory. We still have way too many buyers for the inventory we have. Now, there were 3 states that had pretty significant unusual gains.
Yep.
Right? Almost 10% in both, 9.5, 9.4, 8.9. Yeah, South Carolina, North Carolina, and our neighbors in Maine.
And Maine, yeah, I saw that. Good for Maine.
So that's great. I think Maine is one of those really beautiful states.
Absolutely.
And they have this really interesting coastal travel area, and then you get further out and it becomes more and more rural. So there's still room for development and improvement up there.
And anytime you're, that close to the ocean and that close to skiing and mountains, it's
like the best of both worlds.
It's a little untapped right now. Yeah.
Exactly. And so really this extremely low inventory is really what's driving these price increases, no matter how small. And the truth is, we're not going to see a drastic change anytime soon. I really don't think. And that's what all the professionals are saying. I mean, we're professionals, but the experts are saying, Zillow senior economists, I think on here they had CoreLogic's index, Realtor.com's data analyst. It just keeps coming. There doesn't. And I mean, do you feel like you're still fighting that mentality of what comes up must come down? The last time we saw this, everything crashed.
Right, and again, we go over a lot of it, but everybody's still living in that last 3-year window instead of looking at the bigger picture. Just like comparing your West Coast to your East Coast, you gotta kind of keep things in perspective. Even though you're looking at the countrywide, you still gotta keep things in perspective.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that's such a challenging objection to overcome, right?
Sure.
Because I know that I care about my clients 100%, and I want to do what's right for them. But there's no but. That is just the end of it. And also, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can totally understand the fear, the anxiety. And also, I just don't think there's an improvement in sight. I feel like the waiting game is only making things worse. I've been working with this young couple, first-time home buyers. I feel for them. First-time home buyer properties now, I mean, the mortgage is $3,000 a month.
You can feel when you're going into these showings and that all the people are there, and you can feel the angst coming from them. And it's our job to make sure that we kind of keep those things in perspective, because sometimes I come out of a showing and my buyer wants to offer, they're like, we should put in $50,000. I'm like, well, no, let's not get crazy. Sometimes you think that you want to jump the gun, but we gotta, again, keeping things in perspective.
Well, and I had a great conversation with clients, because I'm having some that are the opposite. I'm like, okay, here's our opportunity. We have to go to this. We have a connection here. We have the availability, and they don't want to go to their highest offer. And it's not going to happen at that level. I understand where they're coming from, but it's like, okay, we need to readjust expectations now, because this property that you want to offer asking on already has 4 offers, 10% over asking. Like that, what are we going to do with this? But, you know, they said something really impactful to me. She said, we want to be aggressive, but we don't want to be desperate. And I think that is so important. And
probably a good motto for buyers, sellers, and agents.
Yeah, you know, we want to be aggressive, but we don't want to be desperate. And they're right. You want to be aggressive, you want to put your best foot forward, but you don't want to be impulsive. You don't want to offer from a state of panic. You want to offer in an educated way.
When you're ready. Yeah, when you're ready to make that decision when the right house comes or the right situation comes that you're ready to put your eggs in the basket.
Exactly, and you have to be clear on your budget. So like sometimes when I'm talking to clients and I'm saying that's not going to do it on this property, the implication maybe they feel is that I think they should overbid. That's not what I'm saying. If your budget is $3,000 a month, that is your budget, and I feel very strongly let's stay in that budget. What I'm saying is your expectations for what you can get within that budget may not be aligned with the current market. So let's sit down, let's rediscuss. You know, it's been 4 months, it's been 6 months. Why are you moving? What are the #1 must-haves? Can we go a little farther out? Can we look at condos instead of single families? Like, how much work are you willing to do? And let's readjust your expectations for the home that you're gonna purchase to keep them in line with your current budget, because the longer it takes you to really start being aggressive and making good offers, prices here in New Hampshire continue to go up.
And yeah, I was going to say back, you know, prices are going to still go up. I mean, like we said, we've seen a slight uptick the last couple months here, but as far as in this area, you know, those things are not going to slow down. They're still going up. So.
They 100% are still going up, and you can see it. Like I have a listing, the listing with these clients I met with them on, we listed at 310. We went at like 360, I think, 365. So that's a lot over. The house that we were just talking about that was listed at 400, in my opinion, is in worse condition than that one. It's similar in size. That one was listed at 400, and they have offers up above 440. So like what you were looking at 310 that was going for 350, 60, 70, 80, that's now getting listed at 370, 80, or 400. Right. And now it's going over that. So I really feel for buyers, especially buyers that like to take their time to make decisions. There is no time in this market. So I work really hard to educate people in advance, because when push comes to shove and there's deadlines,
got to be ready to go.
Absolutely. Anyway, let us know your opinions. What things are happening in the area you're in? Do you see prices increasing? Do you see decreases? Let us know.
Absolutely.
All right, on to Airbnb.
Yeah, this was interesting. You know, Airbnb really. Look, sounds like Airbnb really has gotten away from what they originally, wanted to do with the Airbnb. So I think they're trying to bring it back, and because like everything else with rentals, prices have gone skyrocketed. So Airbnb wants to try to kind of focus a little bit more on Gen Z and the traveling generation and people that don't want to commit to necessarily spending the extra absorbent amount of money for a whole place, when maybe just get a room, which is what Airbnb originally wanted, was, to rent out a room for a night. This is what it's going to cost you. So the Airbnb in general is kind of, the headline is going head to head with hotels to try to kind of focus in more on bringing it back to more affordable rentals.
Sure. And I mean, I think that's interesting. Like you said, it started off as like just rent a room, extra space. And it's really turned into legitimate vacation rentals, quite a few, and a great investment. But they kind of straddle both sides of the fence, right? They make a lot of money from their hosts, that advertising on their platform. But if they don't have clients, or renters, whatever you would call them, to book those rooms,
Right.
then, you know, that's a problem. I thought it was interesting. So they started in 2008, and its first profitable
Yeah, I saw that.
year
That was cool
was
too.
2022. That blows my mind.
14 years.
You know, when we think of
Very
ourselves,
tough meetings.
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that you have some capital when you start a business, but whenever I think of entrepreneurship and a business, I think of us. And most agents can't make it.
They can't go 14 years.
14 years not being
turn
profitable. So anyway,
Sure.
getting off topic, but I thought that was crazy. Now, I do have a personal question for you. Do you use Airbnbs or do you prefer hotels?
So I'm still in the hotel phase of things because I haven't done enough of the Airbnb stays to still trust them. I've heard more horror stories, true or not, about people finding cameras and this, that, or just like not cleanliness. At least a hotel, you have staff and that sort of thing. As far as Airbnb, if it's somebody's house, you know, I mean, unless you're going in and combing the place to make sure everything's the way you want it, like there's a little irkiness to me when I think of the Airbnb. Yeah.
So the big part of this article was that it's not competitively priced with hotels.
Right.
Okay. So I found this to be fascinating. We are going, as you know, on a big professional trip in August, and so I've gone on this trip every year for 4 or 5 years. And I always stay at the hotel where the event is being hosted. I just like simplicity. So whatever that cost is per night, I'm paying it. So, but we're bringing a bunch of our team members. So there's like 6 of us going. So instead of 1 room, I needed to get potentially 3 rooms. So the cost for the 4 nights for each room was $1,000, just over. So it was going to be like 3,000 for me to do the hotels for everyone. Well, I didn't do it soon enough, and there weren't enough rooms. So I was like, I better find an Airbnb. So I found this, what appears to be gorgeous Airbnb that sleeps 12. And
Perfect
the total cost was $1,400. So like half. And I could keep another 6 people in it.
Sure.
So like to me, that's
full fridge, the whole. It's
they
like
have
a house, right?
2 living spaces. They have a garage. They have like 3 bathrooms. It's like looks badass, to be honest.
Sure.
And so much more affordable.
Yeah.
But
I'm interested.
Yeah.
To hear what you have to say.
Yeah. And we've also done Airbnbs on like just small vacations with just Dave and I. But as my kids get older, and someone mentioned this, I don't want to be sleeping in 2 queen beds in 1 small hotel room with my teenage son and daughter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who sleeps with who? Do we
Right,
put
and
them
also
in-
what you do normally, you get a room and like a multiple room situation,
and
but then you're
that's
paying.
so expensive.
Yep.
And so, and like, it's not like when they're little and you went to an all-inclusive and they could have ice cream and eat whatever you want. Like,
It's all about the pool back then.
yeah, now it's like, okay, they can get their own food, we can have snacks. I'm like much more drawn to the Airbnb situation.
So that's good. So I would love to hear more good stories about it because I swear the amount of good stories versus the bad stories I've heard are probably a toss up. So I've
like never heard. Maybe are you looking at this stuff on TikTok or something?
It might be a lot of it might be stuff that I hear. You only hear those good stories.
Well, what I really think is interesting is how do they keep the prices affordable so that they continue to have clients coming in?
I don't know how they do it.
And still make it profitable for the hosts.
I don't know how they do it. Because I mean,
either.
I guess I don't know the exact demand for that type of setup.
I don't know. There's lots of them, I think.
I'm not Gen Z, so.
And I think one thing that someone mentioned in here, which I thought was very valuable, is there's a difference between expecting your Airbnb to fully pay for the expenses of your property and looking for it to offset some expenses, right? Like if I were to buy a vacation home in a location that I also want to vacation in, and I'm using it half the year, or I'm only renting it part of the year, like you're okay if you're not making a profit, you're just reducing your costs. But if I go buy something in some place I'm never gonna go visit, I want that to be profitable and
course.
making money. But then I always think, see, I'm like talking myself out of it, because then I think about appreciation. Well, if I own a property, let's say, I'm making up numbers, and I don't do math super fast in my head, but let's say in 2019, I bought a property in Arizona, I don't know, or wherever the heck, Miami.
Okay. Ooh,
But I just planned on Airbnb-ing it. And now let's just say, in order to get enough hosts, I'm not really turning a profit. I'm paying half of my expenses with Airbnb. So instead of my mortgage being $3,000 a month, let's say, it's really going to cost me $1,500. Well, if I hold on to that for 5 years, from 2019 to now, I mean, prices have come up 20, 30, 40. I still made a pretty penny of equity, even though it wasn't cash flowing. It was basically an investment. So anyway, let us know if you prefer Airbnbs, if you look for...
I want to hear about the bad Airbnb.
No. We want to hear about the
Because
horror
apparently
stories.
there's only good stories, so I need to hear more bad stories about it. So ones that aren't just off TikTok.
Yes. Okay. Tell us about your Airbnb and
Please.
why you choose that or why you choose a hotel. We want to know.
We do.
All right. So for our agent-centered piece, what do you think about transaction coordinators? I thought this was an interesting debate from BAM Media.
I feel like they're a no-brainer, really. I feel like they're a no-brainer because of all the things a real estate agent has to do, all the multitasking and all the things you have to pick and choose the things that you spend your time on and those type of things. And paperwork is not like a real estate agent's best friend or bread and butter, right? We need to be out checking out properties, talking with people, clients, that sort of thing. So I think it's a must-have in, to varying degrees. However little or as much as you can have somebody else do as far as that's concerned. I think that's fantastic.
So transaction coordinators are a subset of the real estate industry that their focus is strictly on the paperwork, deadlines, and timelines of a transaction. So many agents outsource that portion of their work because it's not the highest and best use of their time. Somebody else can manage those deadlines while they do the hard work of negotiation, of coordination, of really connecting with clients and other agents and that kind of stuff. Now, this article, so I agree with Keith, definitely more detail oriented. Most agents are kind of artsy. We're very social and out there and maybe not as detail oriented. We can explain the contract, but we might misprint something or something like that, and a transaction coordinator really keeps you on task. This interesting article from Jason Cassidy talked about who should pay for the transaction coordinator. So I just want to go back to that. As real estate agents, we are 1099 workers, which means we are entrepreneurs. We get paid a flat amount, and all of our expenses come out of that amount, including our taxes. We're not employees and we're not W-9. We are 1099. So if I have a closing, for example, I had a closing today, the commission check that was paid to my broker was $10,500. A portion of that the broker keeps. A portion of that pays for my errors and omission insurance. A portion of that may or may not pay for a transaction coordinator. If it was a listing, a portion of that may pay for staging or cleaning or photography, and then from all of my closings, I'm also paying my business cards, my photography, my mailers, my own insurance, my internet, my car, like 100 other things. So the question that this was posed here is who should pay for TCs? Now, the cost of a TC is usually by transaction,
right.
An area and who you're paying to do that can range from $300 to $600 a transaction. The debate was, should that cost be charged directly to the client as an administrative fee on top of your commission, or should that cost be built in or accepted from the agent?
Yeah, and I think it's a great debate. I think that
You're not going to pick a side?
so I feel like, you know, the agent should kind of, each agent's going to have what they do, and some agents are going to include it, some agents are going to make the buyer seller pay the fee. I think that kind of goes with your agent shopping that we talked about, and it's something that you should definitely, you know, it's something that you might not be aware of, and then, you know, once you find out, you're like, oh, you know, I didn't know that, or you might want to talk about it or have a discussion on it. So I think it's kind of more of a case-by-case situation or a realtor-by-realtor situation. So I can see both sides of it, but at the same time, I think it's all should be worked out between the agent and the client.
Yes. So I'll say this. I have strong opinions about it.
Okay, good.
But I will say that you did hit on something, and that is that it's up to the agent. So because we're 1099 we're not employees, 1099 workers, it's your business. So how you want to structure it is totally up to you. And I'm not going to pass, you know, judgment on how you run your business. I just know how I run my business.
Sure.
And for me, it is something that I have chosen to take on in my real estate business so that I can deliver a better service to my clients. And therefore, it's my expense.
Sure.
Because if I choose not to do it, I'm not going to give the client a discount. Like that's part of the expense of my running my business. My clients aren't asking me if I'm sending out mailers. My clients aren't asking me if I got new business cards. My clients, like, that's my business and those are my expenses.
You roll it all into one.
Yeah. And so I just feel like I deliver X service, and this is what is included in the service I deliver. And for that service, you pay this rate of pay. I'm not going to add all these hidden fees. I've even heard agents adding marketing fees on their listings. I'm like, but that's our job.
Right.
Like, that's what we're getting paid for.
We also see where some agents will have certain a 4, a 5, and a 6%, where you're getting different things. Maybe you pay an extra percent, but it's going to include professional photography. It's going to include the transaction coordinator. So again, like you're saying, that's why I kind of ride both sides. You're obviously doing great things. So whatever you're doing, you keep doing.
Okay, I will.
But yes, I see it going both ways for sure all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a super interesting debate because there were people that were.
But I don't think there is any debate that they are very important.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think there's any debate that having someone support you with that it is super valuable to free up your time for your highest and best use of your time. And like I said, there's a big, you know, we use a professional transaction coordinator. That is her business and that's what she does, and she's excellent at it. But I have in the past used an assistant to do it at a lower price point. Some agencies have their own full-time staff workers that are transaction coordinators are handling that. So there's 100 ways to do it. And you know, I think we can end it on just saying that's what we love about this business.
Absolutely.
Run your business the way it works for you, and your people will find you, and you know, keep showing up like your authentic self, and the clients that want to work with you will show up there. So let us know if you use a transaction coordinator. If you do, are they provided by your broker? Do you pay for them yourself? Are they an assistant on your staff? Let us know. We'd love to hear about it. Absolutely. I feel like we asked a lot of questions. We want some feedback, people. Give us your opinion.
Actually, I got a few things in the work. We have been getting some good feedback from people, so keep it up.
Sounds good, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.